Hey everyone, welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Nina. Today we're going to cover a court case that is going on in New York State right now, and I'll break it down for you real quick here. It says a nursing facility operated by Catholic nuns is suing the state of New York over a law requiring them to affirm a patient's made-up name and pronouns and allow men to invade the women's restroom. The nuns argue that the law directly violates their religious rights and compels them to act against their faith. So if you can see it right here, verified complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief. United States District Court, Southern District of New York, the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne and Servants of Relief for Incurable Cancer. So when I was looking up this case, I recognized that the rights of one group are infringing on the rights of another group. And this tends to happen a lot, especially when religious rights are involved. So I was curious, when it comes to things like this, who is going to eventually win when this case is heard and all that stuff goes on? So who's going to win? So I looked it up, and this is the information that I received. The case is brand new, filed April 6, 2026 in federal court, no ruling yet. The nuns run a small, free Catholic nursing home for poor people dying of cancer. They treat everyone, including gay, lesbian patients, but their faith says that sex is biological and fixed. New York's law forces them to use whatever pronouns a patient wants, even if it's false, puts men in women's restrooms, bathrooms, and vice versa, posts signs and do training on gender ideology. If they refuse, the state can fine them, shut them down, or send them to jail, which is so crazy. It really is crazy that you put someone in jail for that when their religious rights are being infringed upon. So it says that the nuns will probably win, I asked Rock. And this is what it said. First Amendment protects religious freedoms and free speech. Forcing them to say things they believe are lies or mix sexes in private care is a big burden on their faith. Courts use strict scrutiny. The state must prove a super strong reason, and no better way to do it here. Here, patients can just go to other facilities because plenty of them exist. No need to force these nuns. Similar cases, Catholic hospitals, foster agencies, Little Sisters of the Poor have won exemptions before. The Supreme Court has sided with religious groups in these clashes. The state's trans rights push loses when it directly orders religious people, like nuns, to violate core beliefs in their own ministry. Expect the nuns to get a quick block injunction stopping the law from hitting them. The bottom line is religious rights win this round. The law can't make Catholic nuns run their dying patients home like a secular gender clinic. The problem is that nuns, they're not going around forcing everyone to believe what they believe, which is Catholicism. That's their religion. I grew up Roman Catholic, and I went to a school that had nuns as teachers and newbie nuns, where they weren't nuns yet, and a big group of them came from Africa, and they didn't really speak the language, but neither did the white nuns either. Like they spoke English, some of them, but most of them were fluent in Italian. I think I had one big burly nun who was from a farm, and she was definitely American. She was like 5'11". She was giant, and she was kind of mean. But I think that's because she was actually a lesbian, and she was trying to push down those lesbian feelings with faith in Jesus and Catholicism instead of just being her lesbian self. But that's a story for another day. So nuns don't go around pushing their rights on everyone. They're in their convent or they're running their charities. They're just doing their nun thing. And people can choose to go to those places or to give money to those charities or go to the schools run by nuns or hospice. They can choose that. But the thing with the trans rights is it's compelling people to do things that they don't believe in because trans people say that what they believe is true. Even if normal people, rational people, don't believe it's true. They want people to say that it's true so they feel better about themselves. When you're a small group of people whose rights force people to allow things they don't believe in to take place, like men using women's restrooms, when you're forcing them to call them she when it's obviously a he, that's infringing on free speech as well as if they're religious and they don't believe in that, you're infringing on their religious rights. So you're infringing on two specific rights of individuals to appease other individuals who believe in something that's not real, which is a man who says he's a woman. Now you have to say he's a woman. I think it's really dangerous because people have the right to think and believe whatever they want. Like the trans community, they have a right to think and believe whatever they want. But they don't have the right to force it on other people. I don't think the state has the right to force that on other people either. And it's not like, I mean, the trans community will say, well, it's like civil rights. Well, they wouldn't allow Black people to go to school with white people. And it's like, that's an entirely different thing because you're not forcing white people to believe something that isn't true about Black people. They're just people. They're the same. They just look different, have a different skin color. They're not trying to make you believe things that aren't real, that aren't in reality, based in reality. Things that logical people know. I mean, logical people know what's real and what's not real, what's imagined and what's factual. It's like if a man says he's a woman, everyone shouldn't be compelled to believe that. You're overreaching. Like the trans community has overreached on their rights. Like they're pushing for things. It's not only like men are saying that they're women because they believe it, even though it's factually not true, but they're also trying to make other people say things that are factually untrue, even if they don't believe it, which most people don't. They say they do, some of them, but they actually don't, because when push comes to shove and they're in a situation, the way that they act is not going to be aligning with the way that they speak, what they believe in. Yes, a man who says he's a woman is a woman, but if he's following me down a dark alley, like you're not going to be scared. Like if he's towering over you and he's being aggressive, that's not going to scare you. Like if it was a woman, would you still be scared? Would you be just as scared if the big burly man who says he's a woman is like threatening you and getting in your face? Would you be just as scared as if a woman was doing that, or would you be more scared? Most of the time, they'd be more scared. The ones that wouldn't be, those women aren't really thinking rationally and certainly not thinking about their safety at all. So someone said these nuns aren't denying care to anyone. They're just refusing to lie about basic biology in their own faith-based facility, forcing them to affirm delusions and compromise safety under threat of lies, blatant violation of the First Amendment. And this is the thing. It's like they're not denying these men who say they're women because the majority of the problem is the men who say they're women. We all know this. They're not denying them care. They're just not saying what the man wants them to say, what New York State wants them to say, because that infringes on their right to speak however they want to speak. And if you're compelling someone to speak a certain way that they don't believe in, you're also infringing on their religious rights. So you're infringing on a whole bunch of rights for men who say they're women. It's almost like walking on eggshells. You have to be careful of what you say around this dude who thinks he's a chick in order to not infringe on his rights while he's actively infringing on yours. It's wrong. It's so twisted. I can believe because I understand how cracked up America is, but it's like wild to see it take place where people are blatantly lying about things that everyone's known for centuries because a group of people say that they're upset about it. It's like you're really tiptoeing around these guys who say they're chicks because you don't want to hurt or offend them. But if they were just in pants and said they're men, you wouldn't give a crap. It's like that one sentence changes everything for everybody. It doesn't just change everything for that dude. It changes everything for everybody. Everyone else has to abide by their rules and what they believe in. And I think that's really twisted and messed up. And the fact that people just don't understand that it's such a slippery slope. It started off with they're just living their life, right? And then it was they want to play in your sports, and then they want to go in your bathrooms, and then they want to go in your prisons, and then they want to go in your locker rooms, and then they want to go in your changing rooms, and then they want to go in your our word crisis shelters for women. And then they want to compel your speech, so you have to call him she. It's not just we want to be left alone to live our lives. It's you have to walk on eggshells around us, or else we're going to sue you. You're going to lose funding. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get fined. You're going to be ostracized. It's like, it's not just, I want to live my life. It's everyone has to change a lot of things about themselves in order to be in their vicinity. And that's so messed up. It's become such a big problem. And a lot of people don't talk about it because you don't see them on a daily basis. I stay indoors for the most part because, agoraphobia and the anxiety and stuff like that. But if I were to go out, I would see them constantly. I know they say that they're only like, 0.1% of the population. But if so, then why are they everywhere? You see them everywhere. I am weary of using the restroom because I don't want to see a fucking dude in there. And that never used to be a thought in my mind before. I just go to the bathroom. But nowadays, I have to be worried about something so freaking stupid because men identify as women. So that's putting more stress on me doing exposure therapy, leaving the house. That's infringing on my rights. That's causing more harm for me. And then it's like this trying to weigh like whose rights are more important. Well, how many rights are you infringing upon the rights of others? Like if you have men who say they're women, and then you have everyone else. So I have the men who say they're women, they have their rights, like every other human being. But you don't have the right, if you're a biological man, to be infringing on the rights of women. Women, we're just regular people, aren't infringing on the rights of men who say they're women. Most of the time we have to avoid them because we don't know if they're crazy or if they're touchy and they get upset often. Because we've seen so much of the crazy, we try to just kind of stay away. And also we don't want to be compelled to speak in a way that we don't want to speak in. We don't want to be stuck in a secluded space, which is a restroom, with some guy I don't know, whether he's wearing a dress or not. I don't. I feel not safe. Most women would if they're smart. So you have the women's rights and the regular people's rights that they have to go above and beyond for these people, the trans people, the men who say they're women. So they get to be put on a pedestal while we have to walk on eggshells. I don't think that's fair. How do the men who say they're women have to walk on eggshells with us? They don't. They don't have to be forced to speak a certain way. So you're giving them more access to things that they have no right to access. So they're getting more things that they want, while the regular people are having to suppress which should be a right of theirs, which is to feel safe and to speak freely. So I'm on the side of the nuns, even though I've had my run-ins with really bad nuns. I'm on the side of the nuns. If you just look at it logically and you balance out the pros and the cons, you'll see who's right here. And as much as I'm not a fan of nuns, I am for their right to religious freedom and freedom of speech. Their right to believe what they want to believe, because the man who thinks he's a woman has the right to believe what he wants to believe. The nuns aren't making him speak a certain way. The nuns aren't making him pray to Jesus and do the sign of the cross and go to confession and take the host and go to church. Nuns aren't making him do that. So why is he making them do things that they don't believe in? That's wrong. Like, New York State's really messed up in a lot of ways. I live in New York State. I think it's an absolutely horrible, horrible state. I don't think it's very helpful. It's not rational. It's not like it's a crazy place. The people who run it are crazy. They're vain, they're narcissistic, they believe in some crazy stuff, and they just, while they take a crap ton of money from people who can who are working paycheck to paycheck. But I'm hoping that the nuns win, because we can't allow a small group of people to infringe on the rights of everyone else.